right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Glad to have so many here. I am going to start with, other than just welcoming you all and just being grateful for your presence and for the great work that's been going on. Membership has really been doing well this fall, and we're just grateful, and we'll get a report on that shortly. So Nita, would you please open us up with prayer, and then Roland will lead us in the Scout Oath and Law.
Bye. Our eternal Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to be united together in the efforts of scouting and being more engaged in the community and with our youth and inspiring our leaders. We pray that thou will be mindful of their individual needs, that they can be blessed with the spirit of scouting and to have the desire to engage with their youth and have the parents involved. We're grateful for the beauty that we have and the mountains that we can enjoy each day. We're grateful for the nice weather that we've had and the opportunity to engage our youth in outdoor activities. We're so thankful for the scouting program. Pray that thy blessings will be upon it. And again, we pray for our leaders and each of us that we can be successful in our efforts and endeavors. And we ask this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Go ahead, Roland.
Well, I have to apologize. The computers that we have don't have cameras that work, so I promise
That's
I have
great.
my arm up. So go ahead and raise your hands up for the Scout Oath and Law. We'll start out with the Scout Oath. On my honor,
On my honor,
I will do my
do
best to do my duty to God and my
to God
country, and to
country,
obey the Scout Law,
Scout Law,
to help
and
other
help
people at
other
all
people at all
times, to
times,
keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Scout Law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Thank you so much. Is there much of a delay with my voice, or am I coming in pretty quickly?
You're doing good. It's just awkward. We need to mute ourselves mostly when we're reciting things together.
No, it's
You're
okay.
you sound fine, but yeah,
Okay.
the timing is always bad if we try to keep it not muted.
Okay, well, I'm just kind of far away, so I wasn't sure how quickly these things can travel. All right, Jake just pulled up an agenda that we will go off of. We may have to move Brooke a little bit if she can't join us until closer to 6:30, but we'll see how it goes. So we'll start with turning the time over to Jake for a membership report.
All right, let me switch over to the report here.
And this is kind of exciting.
Yes. All right, so I wanted to point out a couple things on here, so I'm going to zoom in a little, and bear with me a second as I go this way. So these are our numbers of youth registered since August 1st for this year. Here's last year through the end of the year. And then we have some good news on this side of Cub Scouts. We are plus 34 over year end. So with another 2 months and a week, we're already 1.65% ahead of last year in Cub Scouts. And girls in the program, we are already ahead by 6.25% from last year end. So although, I'll be showing some of these numbers, are a little lower than last year, we have some good trends that will allow for us to have an easier time growing each year into the future by doing exactly what we've been focusing on this year, which is growing our Cub Scout packs. In some cases, we might need to grow new packs where we only have troops associated with a charter partner. So we're working on that too, but our existing packs have done a great job growing this year. And a special shout out to the Wasatch Peaks District, which almost has 10% growth in Cub Scouts already, again, with more time to go. But as you can see, we are behind last year overall by 191 over this time last year being this Halloween. And then overall for the year, we're down 278 kids. Let me zoom this in again so you can see better. But we have a number of districts that are really close to growth. Look at Oker Mountain, one away, and so many more within 50, with again 2 months and a week to go. So we're excited about where things are trending, but we do have some other things that we can do and will do, and we'll talk about some of those things as we go throughout this training tonight. But that's just a quick snapshot of our membership as it currently stands. All right, Angie.
Jay, could you send us that report so we can use it in
Yes, absolutely.
our district meetings?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll have copies of it at our meeting on Wednesday, Morris.
Oh, okay. If you have copies, that's fine.
Yep.
Any other questions for Jake before we move on right now? Yeah, we really had some wonderful successes going in all the districts. We're just really excited about what's happening. So thank you all. That's all I can say. I'm going to turn the time over now to Bud. He's going to talk about some of the things that they've done in their district for spring membership campaign, because campaign membership is something we need to just work on all the time year round, and we want to keep this momentum going. So thank you, Bud.
Yep, certainly. So yes, over the last few years, what we've done in the spring has changed a lot. For a number of years, our spring campaign consisted strictly of sending out flyers to the kindergartners that were graduating. And that was in the pre-Lion Den days. And so you had to finish kindergarten in order to become a Tiger. And so we would send home flyers with all the kindergartners. Then we had added Lions. And so then we started sending flyers home with everybody, or up through 5th grade. And now we've added all the way up through 8th grade. And then the last 2 or 3 years, we've done full-blown roundup nights in the spring as well. So the way we handle those is in our district, that is like several of our districts, that consists of a number of different small communities scattered over a wide area. We hold roundup nights in several of those communities. And the way we do them, we have a great relationship, fortunately, with all of our school districts. We have 7 different school districts that we work with, and a couple that we have not been working with lately, because we don't have units in the areas, but 7 different districts that we do have units functioning in. And so we work with all 7 of those and have good relationships for sending flyers home, where we can get the approval of the district office of the flyer, and then in most cases just take it to the district office and they'll send it up to the schools and send it home onto the kids. In some cases we need to take it to the schools, or if we're late on time, we'll take it directly to the schools. But anyway, the districts cooperate nicely with us. So we still send out paper flyers. We don't have districts. We have one of our smallest and most remote districts that does use Peachtree, but the rest of them we do just fine with paper flyers. And we find if we send those home so that they go home, from our judgment, the best timing has been 2 days before we have a sign-up night. And our sign-up nights, our roundup nights, consists of, in each community, one location. So we're not basing it come to each school, but the flyer says on this night, this coming Tuesday, this coming Wednesday, go to this location, community library, or in Evanston, it's the county courthouse, and come to that location for a sign-up night. And so that's worked out really well for us. That's been the system we've used for our fall campaigns for a long time. And that's what we've done for the last 2 or 3 years for spring as well. And this year was undoubtedly our best spring recruiting time. So that was good incentive to keep going and keep growing it. So that's our plan. We take those times too to do whatever publicity we can. Our radio stations in most of our communities are very cooperative at doing PSAs, public service announcements for us. It's a good chance to get something in the newspaper. In some cases, you have to write it up as an article. They won't give you a free advertising space, but they'll do it. If it's an article, they'll usually publish it. They're usually glad to have material. So it's a good chance to find creative ways of getting publicity, which is always good for us. Beyond that individual roundup night, any publicity we can generate is always a good thing. So yeah, radio stations, PSAs, or on-air interviews, or both. We've got several of our local hosts have always been willing to put us on the air with them and talk about scouting. So that's a good time of the year to do that. Yeah, and then just have those roundup nights in each of our communities. And I know this Jim Bridger district used to be totally unique in the council, but in the new Crossroads of the West, we're not unique at all as far as having a wide geographic area with small communities scattered across it. Several of our districts work exactly that way. So that system would work well too, of one location in each of those. So Rock Springs has half a dozen elementary schools, down to the communities that just have one. Either way, we don't try to do it at each school. We just have one location, come to this one library or this one fire station for that sign up night. And then we have each of the packs and troops encouraged to be there. And so if in communities where we have multiples, even if it's just one pack and troop, they're for sure there so that people can come meet them. And in a community like Rock Springs, where we have several packs and several troops, they are all there. And so that parents and kids can meet the leaders and talk to them and decide which one they want to be a part of. So anyway, that's the basic system. Any questions?
So you might also add, Bud, that some of the community stuff that April implemented, like the bike thing, and she's done like fun days and she invites the community to them, and that's been kind of a soft recruitment item involving.
Yeah, and you're right. And on those fun days that we've done the last 3 years, that's part of our summertime leading into the fall. And now the council, I know the Davis County and Weaver County areas have done that as well the last couple of years. And so now going forward, the council is asking everybody to do something like that during the summer, where it's an activity day, a fun day, a soft recruitment time. Yeah, and what we've always done is, yes, had information, say come see what Cub Scouts is about. And then when we have our actual roundup day in the fall, come sign up. We're glad to take an application during that summertime activity, but the focus is getting attention for the fall. So yeah, that leads into our fall campaign. So.
But how long before the sign up night do you start your advertising or your publicity?
It starts a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Starts a couple of weeks before, and yeah, and then like I say, we try to target the flyers. If we can target them to go home just a couple of days, we figure more than that is too long, and the day before or the day of can get too risky. So whether the mom sees it or not. So yep, start a couple of weeks before and flyers a couple of days before.
The troops and the packs that you have there at the sign up night, do you have them showing something that they're doing or what their schedules are?
Yeah, each unit is encouraged to have their own information, their own displays there. And this is, it's always much, much easier. Like Jake was mentioning, the focus on Cub Scouts is always important because it's much easier to recruit Cub Scouts than Scouts to troops. recruiting a friend is the best way to go generally with troops. But this fall we did better with troops than I've ever seen us do too. So we get enough on the troops that it's hard to not include them and not send flyers to them. It greatly increases the numbers of flyers you have to send. But to do the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, but you do get enough that it's hard to not do it.
Okay, thank you.
I like how you're utilizing a lot of different media, you know, the radio stations and the newspapers. That's really, really important from what I've understanding too from other councils. They really use a lot of the different media available.
And that's
radio
in that case, the rural districts have the advantage. It's easier to work with a small newspaper and small radio stations. They're more accessible, and yeah, that's an advantage small districts have. So
Yeah. So, any other questions? I like how you're commenting about how you're including troops. And so my question on troops, are you seeing more growth in girls coming in or boys, or is it pretty equal?
more girls, yeah, more girls, but we always get a couple of both. You always get a couple of boys that come in too, and oftentimes they come in with younger brothers or sisters. So yeah, like I said, it's just enough to. Okay, yes, it's worth the 3,000 extra flyers.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
might
it's-
add that we've always encouraged, I'm with Unit 8, and we always encourage our troop boys to come in full uniform because that is really cool. You know, the kids see the boys in their uniforms with their merit badge sashes, and it's I don't know, it's more of an advertisement when they see what those boys have done, and they're so cool, and the kids kind of look up to them. So we try to always have our troop there. I can't speak for everyone, but that's what our troop does.
And then here's another thing we've learned over the years is we went from taking names and phone numbers to, all right, here's an application, fill it out before you leave tonight. Either a paper application or an online application, either way. We've gotten much better at getting an application. Yes, if they're not ready to sign up, we don't want to chase somebody away. We'll take a name and phone number, but rather than just taking a name and phone number and say, yeah, come visit us, do everything we can to get an application that night without making them feel too pressured. Or the odds go way up if you get the application that night.
With money,
Yeah.
that's always important.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's,
Okay.
that's wonderful. Any other questions for Bud or Jolene? I just back on the subject of schools, like I said, you're in a wonderful situation where you have pretty good relationship with all the schools. And I know some districts don't have that as much. Has anybody had experience contacting school superintendents and working in from that direction?
We do both. Yeah, we do both. I try to have a relationship from both top and bottom that way.
Okay.
Principals and superintendents. But I know like Davis County School District is a big district. That whole district has one district. And I guess Weber County has two, right? And Davis County has always been a challenge with the district office for the Thurston Peak District. So in their case, principals has mattered more, and PTA, even if the principal relationship isn't great, the PTA, PTO can do things that you might not be able to do too.
Yeah, so just different angles, just try all your options, that's for sure.
I've
And
been right to the district offices and talked with them, and they're very receptive. In the more rural districts, though, they have no policies, no anything, and so you have to kind of help them through to see what you want to do without being aggressive.
okay. A good point. Another question that came to my mind is, some communities we've had some pushback from being able to get scouting in without paying a fee into community locations. Has that been an issue, and or have you been able to work around that?
Some of both. For us, it's never been an issue in the schools, but in community events, sometimes it's definitely an issue, like our county fairs. We've been able to do some things and had, in some case, yeah, in our county fairs, we've been able to have single events that didn't charge us for, but if we had a booth for the whole county fair, it would cost us quite a couple $100. So yeah, in our case, other people might have had more experience than that with that, but
Yeah, they didn't charge us at our county fair, and unless we were having a money-making fundraising type thing. And so last year we sold jerky there and tried to, encourage membership signups at the same time. But this year we didn't do that, so they didn't charge us. Another thing we've got is I just got approval to be at a STEM fair that's coming up in a few months, but be looking at those things ahead of time. We're going to set up our Pinewood Derby track and have that all set up for a bunch of kids to play on that. And we did that this past year, and they were tickled to hear that we wanted to come back. So
It's fun, it's popular, so it's a good thing. Yep. Those are some great ideas. Even the courthouse, has that been using a library, has that been an issue? I know that's been an issue even in my community, getting into the courthouse without them asking for a fee.
For us, the courthouse, it's the foyer lobby area that we use. And one of our scoutmasters is a county employee, a pretty high ranking county employee. So he arranges that for us, and that's a good advantage there. Otherwise it's pick and choose. Yes, in Evanston, the library has usually charged us, not always, but usually, or has wanted to. In Sweetwater County, where Green River and Rock Springs are, they don't charge us at all. So yeah, it depends on location. If you have a library that insists on charging you, go to the fire station. Or
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of the fire station. That's it. And I know that there was an event that was held at the fire station, and was it in Thurston Peak District, where they did a joint flag retirement or something recently. That's great, to have that relationship.
They retired like 1,000 flags, and the fire department got to practice.
Yeah, that's cool. So I guess we go back to that adage: you utilize all your resources, and sometimes your best resources are people that you know, and it's not what you know, it's who you know. So great. Any other thoughts or questions before we go on to our next agenda item?
One thing we're looking at Wasatch Peaks is we're having discussions that are just starting right now with cub leaders and this will be a per pack basis, is in April and May, is if they are interested and want to accept lions into their program, which I'm hoping that they will, is that children who are in preschool and 4 years old, and once that school calendar rolls over and they become 5 years old, we want to focus effort on lion recruiting this next year, seeing that it's got many advantages for the program, but especially it has tremendous advantages for the families to get their boys and girls who are just turning 5 into a real easygoing, a program that is not intense the way that sports can be intense at a young age like that, and that can be very much mom and dad can see a values-based, age-appropriate, fun time kind of. So we've really got our eyeballs on lions and tigers for spring recruit.
good thinking.
Yeah, great point. Okay. Thank you, Bud, and all those who have participated and shared your thoughts. All right, let's move into, I don't think Brett's Sutherland is with us tonight. But he spoke with me personally about this. I know he's been traveling for a little bit. That the really urgent need to get all leaders youth protection trained. Now that we're coming out of all of the drama that's been going on with BSA, and we're rebuilding and regrowing, it's really vital that youth protection training be emphasized, and everyone needs to be youth protection trained. It's required that you be trained to even register, I thought. So in your own districts, in your own units, however you're able to track that, just encourage and push this youth protection training. BSA has one of the best youth protection trainings I've ever gone through. I feel, and it's really vital, and I know it takes some time, but it's a really good training. Any other thoughts on youth protection training from anyone else out there working in the field? Okay, so that's just really important. It's part of registration coming up or rechartering coming up. Make sure that we are trained. After all we've gone through, we owe it to these kids. Hey, we'll turn you back over to Jake for Journey to Excellence.
I'm sorry, excuse me, I wasn't very fast. Just
go
a
ahead.
quick question on that. Sorry, this is Dominic DeCaria, and I work with Brett Sutherland quite a bit in Troop 220, and he's really emphasized that the youth protection training is no longer a rechartering issue. It's a matter of not letting the thing expire in the first place. And so I just wanted to really emphasize that. That's what he keeps emphasizing to me when we discuss it. So I just thought I'd pass that along. And apparently he is he's stuck. We're about to have a troop meeting, and he hasn't been able to join us yet. I guess he got stuck in traffic or something. So I know if he were here, that's what he would chime in with. Thank you.
And if he gets here, I'll let him add his little. It doesn't take very long for him to say it, but it's really important to come from him. He's our council commissioner also. So don't let it expire. So if there's any way in your units, districts that you can track when somebody youth protection training is coming up, but they should get a notice from BSA too. Am I correct on that? Because I know that I've gotten one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dominique. Okay, Jake, go ahead.
All right, so I wanted to briefly mention 2023's Journey to Excellence in the sense of membership. You have goals number 2 through 4 that are very focused on retention, on lion and tiger growth, and then also with bridging kids over from Webelos to the Scouts BSA program. So as you see there, you got the bronze level is this column right here, and it talks about having like a joining night or other event that brings in prospective families by Halloween. And I know a number of these things have happened, and most of you have been doing these. And then the pin, you put your pin on beascout.org, so that with current pack information, so that people can find you in other ways and give you leads, which we'll talk about later tonight. As we talk recharter in a second, this is part of what's important there, as well as how many of these kids are retained through the recharter process. And then again, of course, you're going to lose some kids to the troop, but are we doing it the proper way where they know where they're going to go? If your pack maybe doesn't have a certain troop to go with, try to help them find a unit to get comfortable with and be a part of. So each of these other levels, it adds upon, and you get more points for that. As you see here, there's just more achievement with how many percent rechart or re-registered in the unit, getting more and more tigers and lions. Like look at that on the gold level of that, they want 2 new lion dens or 2 new tiger dens or 1 of each. Again, I know that's been an emphasis in some areas, and I know Jeff will speak to that a little bit later tonight. So just wanted to let you be aware of this, and of course this is something that you want to complete as part of your evaluation of the end of the year as you do your recharter. And then as far as recharter, let me jump into this a second. I wanted to point out all the resources that are available just on our webpage on utahscouts.org. Just right here in this charcoaly gray square, we have a quick link. If you don't need to find it there necessarily, but if you find it under utahscouts.org/recharter, it will have everything that you need here as far as the new membership fees, the rechartering overview, user guide, where to go and log in. It even gives tips about maybe not paying online when you do your recharter, because if you overpay, National's not going to give you back that money. If you pay through our portal, the Scout Pay site, there's two great benefits to that. Number one, we can give you a reimbursement if you accidentally overpay. Annette, our registrar, can help you out with that. The other part is you won't be charged the 3% fee. The council kind of eats that cost as a way to help units, because we know 3% on $1,000 is a good chunk of change, and a lot of units have way more than $1,000 to pay in the recharter time. And of course, one new thing this year is starting back in August. Any new youth that joined, they go for a full year from that date. So when you see your recharter pull up, you'll notice that it will say that they've already paid for next year. So they'll show up on your charter, but you don't have to worry about collecting money from those ones that joined since August 1st. You'll just need to do it for the rest. And this is the last time that we'll have a formal recharter with our units. So it will be a little different next year, but for now it's mostly the same, just not paying for the kids that jumped in the fall. And I think that might be it, unless there's some questions on rechartering. Our goal is to have it done, each unit to get in and get done with that by November 15th, because we have seen as the holidays roll in, it's really hard for people to focus in on getting that done. But also units start to meet a little less, and so it's harder to collect some paperwork and things that you need. And then going back to youth protection, this is a time frame where it's good to have some leverage to get people to take their youth protection so that you can post the charter and move on to next year. So anything else? Yes, Nita.
There's one thing: when you're multiplying leaders, the one unit has to be paid for before the multiple will actually take effect. So it has to show where they are paid before you can actually multiple in another charter.
That'll get tricky.
Yes. Thank you, Nita. And if all else fails, again, what helps is to not pay on the national side. If you need to, print off all your charter, talk with your DE and work it through in terms of who's paying where, kind of write that on the papers and get that turned in. I've done that sometimes where, especially you have units where you've got kids in a troop and a crew or whatever it may be, and leaders, especially where they're serving in multiple committees for a charter organization. It can be a little bit daunting with so many of those multiples. So if you're struggling with it, there is another way we can, your DE can help you out as well if we're struggling there, and then Annette can make sure that we don't double pay on any of these people.
Okay, thanks. Unless there are any questions?
I do have one quick question on the rechartering process. I'm just curious, if we have people who are moving positions, like a committee member becomes den leader or versa, is there where in the process do we make those adjustments?
So I think you're cutting out a little. Are you saying if the unit leader changes positions? So it was hard to understand.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, sorry. I'm in a building. Maybe it's in a dead spot. If someone is changing positions within the pack, like a committee member decides to start doing den leader, become a den leader, how do we shift those roles in the process?
Okay. Yes, that's a super simple thing to do during the recharter. You can change their positions within that internet recharter system from like a committee member to a den leader, or a den leader to a committee member, whatever it may be. But you can do that right there in the system when you're going through. And you don't need another application for that.
Okay, thanks. So if that's it, we'll let Dominique turn the mic over to Brett. He just joined us and he can do his little plea for youth protection, because he has such a great way to explain it.
Sorry, I've got you in my ear. I need to get this switched over. So
Okay.
hold on one second. I just need to get it. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome, Brett. Thank you for joining.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh,
Sorry.
that wasn't Brett. That was Dominique still.
There we go. Okay, we got it fixed. Okay. Oh, did you want the
Okay.
camera on? Oh, sorry. Apparently I don't know. You know, I know how to run my phone just fine and tell.
It's okay if we don't have the camera. We can just hear your voice, Brett. That's great.
Okay, that's
too.
fine. That's fine.
There
we go.
Okay, and there we go. Sorry about that. My phone broke today, and I happened to pass somebody in Little Cottonwood, and my truck connected, and we pulled a U-turn, and it was a guy on a bicycle that had picked up my phone.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, but it's broken. It's not. It won't. It connected, but it wouldn't work. Anyway, on YPT, Jake could have done this, but you all probably know already that if your YPT lapses, your scout registration lapses, and you can no longer participate in any scouting activities unless you're a parent, and you can only participate as a parent. That means no overnights, just going to unit functions, and that's it. If you're a Key 3 member and your YPT lapses, your unit must immediately replace your position, or the unit can no longer meet. That started on October 1st, and we'll continue on. We've gone from staring at the bottom of 245 councils to we came up 35 places in the last couple of weeks. I don't need to be number one. I just don't think we should be last place in something that's mission critical. So make sure that all your units that everybody knows they have to be current on their YPT. It cannot lapse. If it lapses, their BSA registration will be suspended. If anybody kind of complains about that, tell them that we are the least onerous council. All of our surrounding councils are expiring instead of suspending. Suspending means you're just sidelined. You complete the YPT, you notify Annette and the council, and you're live again. Expiring means that you have to pay and submit another application. Doesn't matter if it's if there's only 2 months left or whatever. So this is a good thing. We're protecting our youth. It's a phenomenal. There's been a phenomenal response. Very few complaints. You explain it to people and they understand it. Thank you for your time.
Great. Thank you, Brett.
Okay. You bet.
All right, next up, we'll turn it over to Brooke Fuller.
Hello. Okay, am I there? So you asked me to talk about geofencing, right? And so I don't know how familiar units are with this, but the first thing you need to do is have a public Facebook page. It's so geofencing is a way to advertise your certain events to a certain area. So if you have a public Facebook page and fill it up with pictures of scouts having fun, so when people see that page, you use that as recruitment. Then you set up an event, like your recruitment event or another event you have going on with your unit. And once you create that event on your Facebook page, it prompts you that you can boost it or promote it, the words on it. You select that, and then you set up an audience, like parents of, certain age group, like a certain age range, gender, a zip code, a location. You customize the audience who you want to advertise that event to. and a time frame. It does cost, it's about $1 a day to boost these events. So if you do it like 10 days, it might cost you $10. And so then you set that up and you conduct your event, and you so that is how you promote or boost or geofence a Facebook event to the community. And we've done that a couple of times, and it brings in a couple of people, or at least gets people to your page to see what's going on with your unit. So I think that's what I had to share. Does anyone have any questions? Or
I just have a question. Does district have funds for this?
I just did it for my unit.
Okay. So you can do
So-
it for a unit or a district, and I understand district executives are trained in how to do this as well.
Yeah, I think it might just depend on the district, or I don't think there is necessarily funding for it, but maybe your unit try it. And I believe some of the district executives know how to do it.
Jeremy, will you review some of that for as far as how it applies to districts for us?
Yeah, so each district has been trained on this. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to me, and you can get my contact information from your district executive. But each unit should plan this in their annual budget, perhaps some marketing monies. And as was shared earlier, I'm sure if you were to put down $40 to $50 for the year's worth of promotion, that would be plenty. As Brooke said, she did $10, and it was highly effective for the one particular event. So I would just build this into a unit's budget, and I can promise it's super productive.
And how much should we be spending as a district on it?
The districts don't necessarily have it in their budgets, or usually don't do that. I know the council does on a large level through some grants from Google. But as far as the district, I don't know that has taken place.
So we've talked a lot about geofencing district events. Is there a cost? If there is a cost to doing that, how do we do that?
That is built into the council's budget. So when you and I have done that, yeah, it's been taken care of.
All right.
So for district events, that would be covered by the council and district. But if for
unit
you're
events,
fencing a specific unit event,
Yep.
that's when it comes into the unit's budget.
keep up the good work, Brooke.
Great, thanks for, your input on that, Jeremy. I appreciate it. And Brooke, thank you so much. All right, let's turn the time over to Jeff, and then we will just have a few minutes of question and answer or sharing from anybody. Jeff, will you take over and tell about some of the good things that you've been able to experience recently?
Well, I was asked to visit with everybody about Be a Scout, and it's a tremendously good system. However, I don't think I would be the only person in this group who would say something like, it's not confusing, it's not overwhelming, it's not sometimes difficult to really understand what's going on with it. Because there are many times when I'm looking at it and I'm trying to keep up to speed with everything, and it just seems like one big polyglot of names. So keeping track of it is very, very important, and dedicating some time to it. A few things that I found that have been helpful to me is first of all is checking your lead invitation daily. One of the most important things about those leads is when they come in, just think of them as if you're a chef or you're a cook, you've got a timer that's set, because the longer that timer is going, the colder and more distant the family that's interested in scouting could be becoming. I'm not saying is becoming, but could be becoming. So reaching out in a timely manner. And this is really primarily the responsibility of our unit leaders. So that leads us to the second thing that I've worked on is developing good relationships with especially our cub leaders regarding Be a Scout, sending them messages, talking on the phone with them, and trying to use terms that come straight out of our Scout law, terms like friendly and courteous and kind. Congratulations is another word to mix in there, especially if a unit sees an application come through. I can go in the notes section and say, hey, congrats, Sally Jensen, you just got an application. That's terrific. Way to go, and welcome a new wolf on board for your den. And those kinds of positive things, I believe, help. So to review those first few things right there is remember that Be a Scout is really, once a name is submitted, a timer is set and it's ticking. And the longer that Scout family waits to get a response, the less likely they may be to respond to our friendly, courteous, and kind invitation to check us out. And that requires follow-up, follow-up, follow-up. Prior to working for the BSA, I was a pro photographer for about 10 years in the Salt Lake area. And there were many, many, many times, I mean a lot of times, that I received messages from brides who would say, would you please call me back? I'd like to get the rates on your wedding packages. And I made it a habit that within 24 hours of receiving that contact, I was calling people back to say, thank you for calling us. How did you find out about us? And they would inevitably say, we saw your ad in the Yellow Pages, when that thing was a real thing. For anybody who doesn't know what a Yellow Pages is, check out the Smithsonian Institution. They probably got stacks and stacks of them. But one thing I found is many, many, many people thanked me, and I got a lot of business because I was the only person to reach out. I was the only one to follow up with them. And that got me a lot of business. So a few things about Be a Scout: make it timely, be friendly, be courteous, be kind to the leaders as you're following up with them, as they are the ones who are being initially responsible for making those hellos and those welcome aboards. And then follow up. Even an old principle from many people who had done missionary work, variety of types of missionary work, is one thing that I was taught was not only do you follow up, but you arrange to follow up. That means you set yourself up to follow up so that people know that, hey, I'm going to be contacting, and it can avoid circumstances which may be perceived as, why does this guy keep calling me? And that's not the case at all. Is if I'm arranging to follow up, there's already an agreement that we will talk again. We will talk again. We will talk again until the point where it's like either they're on board with us or they said, you know what, it's not going to work out. We've tried other units. The nights aren't going to work, whatever. But to exhaust all possibilities without being rude, without being overbearing, and keeping in mind all those things that we honor when we say that we are trustworthy and we're loyal and we're helpful and friendly, and especially we're courteous right there. And one of the last things that's really, really important in that Be a Scout system is encouraging your leaders, and doing so yourself, is keep good notes. Keep good notes in there about who talked to who, when, about what, and they don't have to be really long notes. I look at the notes frequently and see a lot of leaders putting down, hey, sent out a message just 2 days, because they're dated as well, just 2 days ago, inviting Wilson and his family to come to our next meeting. So I know that leaders are actively out there inviting families to come to their scouting meetings. So those 4 things right there, Angie, I believe are not the only, but among some of the best work habits are: be timely, be friendly, courteous, and kind, follow up and arrange to follow up, and then keep good notes.
Got to hit mute or unmute. Thank you, Jeff. That's great. I appreciate it.
I had I have
Go
one
ahead.
more document to share. Jake asked me to share one thing. I'm not sure if I bring this up, if you can see this. Does everybody see a spreadsheet?
No.
I'm not quite sure how to share this on my end.
Right. Do you have share screen on your end?
Share screen.
At the bottom of
Yeah.
Zoom, there should be a share screen, push share screen.
Okay, how
There
about
you go.
that? Boxes and numbers?
We're starting to get it.
It's
There we
starting. There
go.
it is. Yay, we
Okay.
found it. We see it.
All right, so what this is very briefly is, this is something that is helping me. These are all of my Cub Scout packs, and this report that's coming out of Be a Scout is helping me to understand dynamics of packs that I don't necessarily visit on a weekly or regular time frame. I'm visiting them, I'm talking with them, but to see what's happening on a week by week, month by month basis. This report can be run by the district executives. It's called a Cub Scout Totals report. And it breaks it down, for instance, to look at Pack 1 up in Camas. They've got 5 Webelos in their program. And we had a night set up a week and a half ago at the school. It was a beautiful thing. The school was doing their fall festival. They had invited us in. We were going to go up there, be face to face with all sorts of elementary children. And it turned out to be 50 degrees and snowing in Camas, and the whole thing got shuttered. Well, I just got a text back today saying that the Cub Scout pack was like, well, that we don't feel like that was our one and only opportunity. We're going to make an opportunity on November 1st. Can you come back up? And I said, absolutely, we'll come back up. So, and one of the things that this report helps me to understand is that Camas is in a situation where if those 5 Webelos are 10 years old, if any of them are 10 years old, we may have an issue rechartering this Cub Scout pack right here. Other places, it can just help a person, whether you're a membership chair or whether you are, a district chair or a commissioner. This can help you at a glance find out, for example, in pack 3411 on line 11, is that, hey, we've got 9 Cub Scouts in this pack, and 4 of them are Webelos, 3 of them are wolves and bears. The report, unfortunately, doesn't break down whether or not they're wolves or bears, so you need to find that out. And then 1 and 1. Pack 3411 is a pack that I'm in communication with to see and offer, is there any assistance we can help you with in order to help your Cub Scout pack grow? A tiger den of 1 child may not be the most fun experience.
Great. And look at all of those potential scouts too. Moving into troops that you have all those Webelos. That's amazing. Any other thoughts or questions for Jeff right now? Because we are getting short on time. So thank you. Are there any other general questions or answers or any things that wanted to be shared for just a couple minutes before we talk about the calendar briefly and then close? All righty. Then I will just make one plug for Cub Scout leaders. An opportunity for a training called the Kalis Council is an amazing opportunity. And if you're just interested in Cub Scouting at all as a leader, or want to know more about Cub Scouting and how the program is run, this is a great opportunity. The next one will be held September 11th through the 24th. That's in I think that's in 2024. I just looked at it. I hope it wasn't 2023. I hope I'm giving you the wrong dates. That might be wrong because that doesn't sound right. It's just a 3.5 day training. So we might have to look that up again to find out, but you can find it on the council website 11 through 14, 2024. That's what I wrote down the wrong date. 11 through 14 at Camp Kiesel in 2024. So consider that, and it's a wonderful training. Anyone that has gone has just loved it and really grown from it, and it just energizes your battery. Calendar items moving into 2024. We do want to have one more meeting for this year, with it being holidays. With Jake suggested we do it early December. So for just the membership committee, we'll work on those dates and get that out to the membership committee. But the next council-wide membership training we'd like to do will probably likely be in February. Is that correct, Jake?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and so moving into spring campaign, we want to just really, that's why we wanted to highlight it a little bit tonight and have your wheels start turning on that. Any last comments from you, Jake, or thoughts that or anyone else might have before we close?
I'll just thank everybody for their efforts for getting ahead in Cubs and in girls in the program this year, and just keep it up. Whatever we can do to get more youth these last couple of months will be a great help to us going forward. And to Jeff's point there, if we can kind of pinpoint the units that definitely need more help to stay afloat, get more of those younger scouts in, working through schools or other avenues to generate interest and get kids into the program. Let's just do everything we can to get those Lions, Tigers, and any others.
Yeah, and we do want to put a little focus into getting back, working with our troops. We always have those in mind, but we have to have Cub Scouts to lead into troops. So this has been a great success this year that we've seen. So just keep pushing into the fall, keep working on that membership drive, any opportunities that come up. We still have a lot of fall festival things that are happening. So we'll keep you informed on our next meetings, and thank you so much for joining us.